Hello everybody, my name is Rena Rachel Galper. Welcome back to the Women's Wisdom Project. I have another awesome woman and friend of mine here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Andrea Winkler. And in my daytime, I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed clinical addiction specialist. And I've been seeing patients in outpatient psychiatry for about 8 years, and so I spend most of my life doing that. And in my evenings, I try and stay healthy, be in a relationship, enjoy my life the best I can.
Awesome.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, so for those of you who don't know, the Women's Wisdom Project is really dedicated to talking with women and getting their stories around what do we love, what keeps us strong, how do we endure in the face of all kinds of obstacles and challenges, because I think women have such a wonderful way of being sometimes that is really something we need to hear in the world. And so that is why I have my awesome friend, because the more wisdom we can gather and share, the better. So tell us a little bit about some of the ways you feel really strong.
Strong as a person?
Yeah, like what are some of the things that keep you strong, that make you feel really good?
Well, I think largely, first I'm kind of struck by my strength to some extent. Like when I think about how do I manage, right? I think a lot about tender perseverance, which has been something that's come up in the last couple of years, kind of this willingness to be soft but move forward, which I think is really a reflection of my strength. I'm not really sure where it comes from. Sometimes I joke about how there's not really another option. Like what else would I be doing? Like, hard things may come my way, but what is there to do besides get up, move forward, do what's in front of me, and kind of try,
But I think a lot of people do different things, right? Some people hide, some of us use drugs and alcohol, some of us, submerge into really unhealthy relationships. I think we do a lot of things to avoid showing up and moving present. So I actually think it doesn't go without saying. Like, how did you get to the point where you could see that tender perseverance? Is that the words that you used?
Yeah.
Because I know for myself that I was very brittle for a long time.
Yeah.
So how did you get to this point where tender perseverance became real?
Right. I think I'm not totally sure. It's been like a process where sort of spending time with myself and letting myself be, and learning to have a new relationship to feeling uncomfortable. I think historically, it seemed as though being strong would mean not feeling, right? And I know for me, over time, that became really problematic because, like we talked about earlier, when you're constantly pushing down and pushing away, there's this part of yourself that you're not actually allowing. And I think I had some, just good mentors and people in my life who really encouraged me to just be with what was instead of what I thought should be. And that required learning to have a lot, like actually feeling emotion and actually having the experience of not being swept away, but like recognizing that I could sit and have pain or suffering or disappointment or fear or whatever those things were, and then walk away from that like it didn't last forever. It was like this sort of understanding that everything changes. So when you ask, like, how did I do that? I guess I spent some time letting it be. I don't really know how else to say it. Like, making the decision that when I was in a hard spot, to shut the door to my room and sit with myself for a minute, sometimes just a minute, but to change my relationship to that process so that I could just handle anything. I know that might sound crazy, but I think that's kind of why today, now, I can say, well, I just walk through it, right? That's like I think that's what it's about, is like, it's just a moment. Even the most overwhelming and impossible situations, you know, or grief, like, I really understand that it won't, like, it's not going to take me out. I might suffer, but, and then I think too, I've also just learned that, like, it's not good for me to crawl into a dark pit of despair. Like, you know, when I have hard things happen, my colleagues laugh at me, like, I always go to work, you know, I just go to work. I like do what's in front of me. Am I supposed to make breakfast? I'm going to make breakfast. Am I supposed to take a shower? Take a shower. Am I supposed to go to work? Go to work. It's like just doing the things that are in front of me, and then life just kind of moves, you know. I do wonder sometimes though if that sometimes I may not get as much joy in life, like as I might, as maybe other people do, or that there's some sort of I don't know, dulling to some degree of like the joy, because there's kind of just this perpetual like doing.
Right.
You know, it's interesting to me.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because you know, I don't automatically equate perseverance with exuberance or joyfulness.
Right, it's
either.
not. Right.
Yeah.
It's like this slog of like.
So how do you cultivate joy in the midst of challenge? Like, how do you do that?
I have a really hard time with that. I have a really hard time. I mean, I think part of it is reminding myself what makes me feel good, and then prioritizing those things. And my things are like not that exciting, you know, like for me, working out is really important. Like biochemically, my brain needs those endorphins. And so I almost have that same commitment, right, to those things that I know help me feel good. So I go to the gym. Music is huge for me. So putting music on, like I'll regularly think, put some music on, right? Like that's something that brings me joy. I'll dance around the kitchen all the time. Like I dance around the house a lot. So music makes me happy. And then, you know, I think making space for my relationships. So, and being there for other people, that's been really helpful in this last couple of years of some significant suffering in my own life, is like trying to the best of my ability to still love other people and not let myself get completely consumed by my own thing. You know, like I can be in my own thing for sure. And my friends and family are good enough that they let me be there, but trying, like setting the intention of still being a part of other people's path, you know, and that gives me joy, I think.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, you talked about women being relational. I mean, I feel really good when I know I have a secure connection with people, you know, and I could lose that if I were completely engulfed in my own stuff.
So is there any particular experience that you're able to share, either old or recent, where you really sort of moved through something difficult into a place of acceptance or grace or joy or all of the above? Is there any experience that you can think of?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've had chronic pain problems since I was 14. And I'm 35, so it's a long time. And I have historically really struggled with hating that, like hating hurting and hating my body. And any time that I had a new pain sensation or one of my injuries was flared up, my response was always this just self-blaming, judging, like beating myself up when I'm already hurting, right? And so I can say that in I don't know how many years, the last 5 years or something, I started to really realize that I was adding so much suffering to this thing that was really already pretty shitty. Like having to be someone who hurts, you know, not all the time, but intermittently, with different frequency and intensity, like, you know, and to feel that my lifestyle was even limited to some degree, like at its worst. You know, I couldn't dance. I couldn't ride a bike. I couldn't be intimate. I mean, when it's been really bad, my life has been really affected. And even today, like sitting is really challenging, you know, and that's just sitting. So it's really, really been hard. But when I finally realized that I treated myself that way, and some, you know, people in my life suggested that, what if I were to respond to my body in such a way as to say, I see you, like, what do you need, right? Instead of this, like, what's wrong with you? Stop doing that. Go away. This, I mean, I really feel like I, in this way, was hating myself, right? Like, I am my body. Like, this pain is me. So I was really creating this bad relationship with myself. And so that's been huge, because I've really, over time, learned to respond to that pain differently, and to also be willing to see my body's value, and like to revel in the times that I have where I'm not in pain and where I'm able to do things, and like I can't go running anymore, but I can still go on the elliptical. And so I am grateful to my body for being able to go on the elliptical instead of pissed off that I can't go running, right? Like, just really trying to be more kind to my body. And to be honest, it's really worked, right? Because now I notice I relate instinctively differently. Like, I won't say that's completely gone, right? But most of the time I'm just like, oh, okay, that's hurting a little. And it's not even like, oh, I need to figure out what I did wrong, which is what I would used to do. It's kind of like, something must have happened. Okay.
So it almost sounds like playful curiosity.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of like, oh, I guess something happened. You know, when it's really bad or debilitating, I can still get into that place of like, I can't believe this is happening to me again, and you know, it sucks. But I think more of the time now, I'm able to say like, okay, that's for today. You know, like, or this is happening now. I mean, I've had so much of this for so long. Like I was saying earlier at dinner, that, you know, I have this knowing that it will change.
Yeah, you know? That's awesome. That it won't last forever.
It won't. And that it's all about how I respond, you know, like, I mean, if I get on that pity pot about how unfair it is and how awful it is and how long it's been like this, I just suffer immensely, you know. I mean, it's...
Well, so if you wanted to tell somebody, our millions of viewers, for instance, our millions of viewers, maybe not right now, but
someday. Okay.
So if you wanted to tell folks who are suffering with whatever they're suffering with, if you wanted to tell them something, offer them something right now, what would you say to them?
It's interesting, you know, because I'm a therapist, and so I do that most every day. So I'm trying to think of something original. No, I think, I mean, what I would tell other people, what I tell my clients, what I tell myself is, you know, this is part of the human experience. Like, I'm not of the belief that, like, I'm somehow flawed and there's some magical reason why I suffer on the earth, right? I think this is just part of, like, the human process. And it doesn't make us in any way, I don't think, special per se, but I don't think it even makes us in any way not, right? That, like, we are one among many, and just as I hurt, other people hurt, and just as I will get some relief, other people will get some relief. You know, it's sort of the, like, hang on message to some degree. Like, for me, you know, I joke in a way, and I know for some people they don't understand this, but we could all give up. I mean, giving up is an option. Mm-hmm. Some people do. They mail it in, you know? And it's just a choice. We just have a choice. I just decide, like, there are enough moments that are good that, like, I'm going to see it through for now, you know? And I would hope I would want other people to do that as well, you know, but, yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. Another awesome interview. Stay tuned.
The Women's Wisdom Project. Yes, it is.